the mission. So thank you for that. So with that, we will start with the, you sing Jai Radha Madhava too?
Yeah.
If you wish. Yeah, it's mandatory. Not, yeah, I mean, you can have a few minutes kirtan, no problem.
Okay. So I don't know enough of you, but if someone would like to sing, that's all okay with me.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, I can sing.
Okay, that's Ritu. Okay, thank you. You can go ahead and sing. And this is Zoom, so I guess we cannot respond. We will mute ourselves, so it'll just be you singing and responding.
Yeah, will everyone stay muted and
Yes.
we'll sing.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihar, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihar, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girvaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girvaradhari, Jaya Yashodanandan, Brajjanaranjan, Yashodanandan, Brajjanaranjan, Yamuna Tira Banechari, Yamuna Tira Banechari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpataru Bhescha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are going to discuss chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the name of this chapter? Can someone say? Anyone can tell us the name of this chapter?
Contents of Gita summarized.
Contents of the Gita summarized, yes. So as the title indicates, the Bhagavad Gita is summarized in this chapter. It's quite a long chapter. And we are going to discuss verses from 11 to 20. So what I will ask to do is, if someone can read the Sanskrit and the translation. So if you are able to do so, you can raise your hand, and then I can call upon you, or I can Otherwise, I may have to pick on you. So just to make sure that you are there. That okay? Oh, we've got lots of very nice. Lots of people are wanting to participate. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so for text number 11, Radha Govinda, since I cannot see you, would you like to, can you read the Sanskrit and the translation, please? And you can see on the screen. It's there for those of you who are there. Okay.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Vajo Bhakti Ashochayanam Vashochasvam Pratava Sadam Siddhatase Patasuna Patasuncha Nani Sochanti Pandita.
And the translation. Are you okay with the translation?
Yes, I can't see.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of thee. Those who are wise, lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. And so here, in the previous verses, actually in 7, Arjun had surrendered to Krishna, no? Saying that I am puzzled, I'm confused about my duty, and I don't know what to do, so you please instruct me. So then when Krishna begins to speak, he is taking on the role of his guru, of a guru, and he's immediately chastising his disciple. What he's saying, he's telling Arjuna that you are giving me so many good reasons, right, not to fight. And you are speaking like a pandit, right? But actually what you are lamenting for is not worthy of grief, because this is not, the way you are behaving is not the behavior of a wise person. So Krishna is telling him that this is not, or indirectly, like Srila Prabhupada is saying here in the purport, Krishna is indirectly calling Arjuna a fool, right? That even though you talk like a wise man, you actually don't have knowledge. So Krishna then will proceed to enlighten Arjuna with transcendental knowledge. And here he's going to tell him this part of the Bhagavad Gita, these few verses which we will read now, they speak about Gyan, right? It describes the difference between the body and the soul. So this is what Krishna is going to focus on. And this is the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. And particularly in our society, you will see that Srila Prabhupada, from the first day, when he first starts to speak, to anytime he gives class, he always what is the commonest thing we know in ISKCON? You are not this body, right? Everyone knows, even a child knows, because after being if you come to the temple or listen to classes for a week, you'll know this for sure. And this is, Srila Prabhupada always hammered that in. So we may have knowledge that we are not this body, but to have realized knowledge is difficult. So Krishna is calling his disciple that you are actually not wise, you are lamenting, and then he's going to tell him why. So which leads us to the next verse, which is 12. Manharani, I think I know you. From Houston, right? Would you like to?
Mataji. Yes. You want me to read this one?
Yeah.
Na tvemaham jatu nasam na tvam nemi janadipa na cheva na bhavishyayam sarve vaimatah param.
In the translation.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these things, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
So
in the way that
no, we will just read the translations, because if we start reading the purport, it will take us too long to cover all these verses. But I'm going to ask you, since you have been, what is Krishna trying to tell Arjuna in this, or what Prabhupada is telling us in the purport? Can you remember some of it?
That we are all eternal beings.
Yes. And Krishna, yeah, go ahead.
and we forgot our actual identity. So we are thinking this is our only birth, but actually we have been born many times, and Krishna remembers it, and we tend to forget it.
Yes, very true. Thank you. So Krishna is saying, just like Manharini said, that never was there a time when he's pointing to himself, Krishna himself, know you, the living, he's telling Arjuna, and all these kings, right? So he's saying not only me and not only you, you may think that Krishna is special, he's the Lord. Arjuna is also very special, but what about me, right? They may not cease to be. But what about all about the rest of us? So Krishna is then telling, because on the battlefield, there are so many kings and their subjects, right? The soldiers who are fighting. So Krishna is telling them, none of you, none of who is assembled here will ever die. So he's like, they say, no, Bhurijan Prabhu in his commentary called Surrender Unto Me, he speaks that Krishna is saying, first person me, Arjuna, your second person, and then third person, all these kings. So he's covering every living entity. Never will be a time when they will die, no? Because Arjuna's, one of the reasons Arjun gave for fighting is, I do not want to kill my teachers and my grandfather and my relatives. But Krishna is now smashing this argument that you will actually die, because he's saying that all of us have existed in the past, we are existing now, and we are going to exist in the future. So he's saying, so what is the question of you killing anyone, right? So he's smashing Arjuna's argument that he will be that these people will die in the battlefield if I take part in it. And then Srila Prabhupada uses this particular verse to counteract or to refute Mayavad philosophy. Mayavad philosophy says that the living entity, when he becomes liberated or perfect, he's actually part of God. We also say that we are part of God. But the Mayavadis say when you become perfect or liberated, you become one with God. In other words, you cease to exist and you become part of a homogeneous like energy, right? You become part of Brahman. But Krishna is telling here very directly that you, me, and all these kings, they continue as the individual identities. They don't merge and become non-entities, right? So this is the direct refutation of Mayavad philosophy that Srila Prabhupada is giving here, or Krishna himself is giving. So it's important when people say we all become one. No, but Krishna is saying, no, you always keep your identity. So we keep our identity as spirit soul. The body may be gone, and that is what he speaks in the next chapter, that the body is changing even in this life, but you remain as an individual. It's not that you change or you become one with the supreme energy. No, you always maintain your individuality. Now, in our tradition, in our the Vaishnava understanding is that we are one with Krishna in quality, but we are separate from him we're different in quantity. So Krishna is spirit soul, we are also spirit soul. So in that case, we are all eternal, but he is the supreme eternal, and we are very tiny parts. In quantity, he is infinite, and we are very, very tiny. So that's the difference. And Mahaprabhu called this philosophy Achinta Bheda Bhed. You have been attending these classes, so you probably know. Or if you are new, then this is something that we have to understand. We are one in quality with Krishna. We are all spirit souls, spiritual beings, but we are different in quantity. So we are very small or minute, and Krishna is unlimited. Now, in this verse, Srila Prabhupada cites this verse from the Katha Upanishad, the Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Ya Vidadati Kaman. The Vedic, the Katha Upanishad says that Krishna is eternal, we are eternal. He is cognizant, or he's full of knowledge, and we also have knowledge. The difference is that he is the one being on whom all the other living entities are dependent. So there is a difference. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada gave this example of the difference, like there's the saltwater ocean and there's a drop of salt water, right? So the drop of water in your hand is the same in quality as the ocean. The drop of salt water that you have is salty, so is the ocean salty. But the drop of water in your hand is not the same as the ocean. The ocean is vast, you can swim. There's so many living entities, different fish, right? There, the ocean has so many waves, but the little bit of water in your hand, you can't drown in the little bit of water. But in the ocean, you can drown. So Srila Prabhupada gives the simple analogy for us to be able to distinguish between the living entity we are called Jiva, and then the Supreme Lord, who is the absolute truth, Krishna, or the absolute truth as a person and with all his energies. So here, so after Krishna says this, that we are always existing, then he goes on to the next verse, which is this very famous verse, text 13. And I'm going to call on Meena to, if you can please recite this verse.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरः प्राप्ते धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति.
Yeah, you can read the translation.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So Krishna here is saying that even in this life, you have destroyed, or your body has changed so many times. One time you had the body of a baby, right? From boyhood. Then you go to youth. So when you go from boyhood to youth, no one gets upset or worried or laments that, oh, I have become a young person, right? And then when he goes from youth to old age, you see it's still the same person, although the body is changing. Now, when we go from youth to old age, the youthful body is dead and gone, right? And then you have an old body. But no one is like really lamenting that, I had a boy's body and that is gone. Then I have a youthful body and that is gone. And now I have old age. We may lament in terms of, materially, that we cannot do as much as when we were probably young and adult, right? But it is the same person, right? You are the same person. So similarly, at old age, the soul, the living entity goes from this body to another body. So when we don't get upset or lament, when we change bodies in this life, so what is the reason for that? For lamenting when you die? It's just a change of body, We should remain sober, or dhira, and not become bewildered by this change. So recently we saw that His Holiness Kadamakanana Swami passed away. He left his body. And we saw that he had cancer for, I think, almost 9 months or so. And the way he dealt with this change of his body was so amazing, no? He was saying how that in this body we are serving Krishna, and how he saw death was so beautiful. He said, in this body, I'm doing this service. So death is just a change of service, right? In this body, I have done so many different services. I served in Vrindavan, I served in Mayapur, I served in Africa, I served in Australia. So now I have to go and serve Prabhupada in another place. And it's this, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami was speaking and saying that the last word Maharaj spoke, usually we think that if someone leaves their body, chanting the holy name, is considered very auspicious, no? Because Krishna says, yam yam vapi smaran bhavan, tajante something kalevaram, right? Whatever you think at the time of death, that's where you go. But here was Maharaj, the last word he said was mission. No, he served Srila Prabhupada's mission in many difficult and trying circumstances, even at the cost of his own life, right? He was shot as part of when he was doing his service in Vrindavan. And he described that it took him about a year and a half to completely recover, but he never quit. He kept with the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And even in his last will, one of the things he mentioned was this mission of spreading the holy name, and how he wanted this one Rath Yatra he had started in South Africa to go on. So for the devotee, death comes, Krishna comes as death, right? But for the non-devotee, when death comes, they see it's time, I am the destroyer of everything. So it's the same form, Krishna, but depending on our consciousness, the nature of what we see. We'll see Krishna, like Kadamakanana Swami saw that as a change in service. I'm going to change to a different service. Or the devotee feels, oh, this is, I'm going to give up this body, but I will go on and enter into Krishna's pastimes. I will understand my spiritual body. Whereas the materialist things that, this is the end. I don't have this body, how shall I enjoy? So by getting this knowledge, we can understand, we have practical example and experience that even in this age, in this lifetime, we are changing so many bodies, right? So at death, it's natural to understand then when I change at death, I will get another body. So there is no need to lament. So after Krishna says this example, and then he says, okay, and then Arjuna may say, but I don't like this change in bodies. It's like, I don't like, it's okay maybe when I'm getting from a child to an adult and youth with so much energy, but definitely I don't like old age, and I definitely don't like death, no? So Krishna tells him, okay, if you don't, then here's what a wise man, Adhira, this is how he handles this change of body, which is text number 14. So Manharini, your hand is still up, so I'll ask you to say that one, to read this.
Okay, Mataji. I will put my hand down after this.
Okay. Then I get to pick.
Matra sparsha tu konteya shitano ushna sukh dukkada agama payano nityam tamastikshva bharata.
Thank you.
Translation. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Yes. So Krishna is saying that happiness and distress, they will come and go, just like summer and winter go. His Holiness Ritadvida Swami says, like we may pray, saying that, happiness comes of its own accord, depending on our karma and what is due to us. Similarly, unhappiness comes. So does anyone come, he will say, like, does any of you, does someone like get up in the morning and tell Krishna, please give me some unhappiness today, right? Nobody does that, right? But still unhappiness comes. We may be praying for happiness, but unhappiness also comes. Just like after spring, there's going to be summer and then there's winter. So this cyclical changes is part of nature. So similarly, this body, because it is made of matter, it is going to change. And it is, he says, non-permanent, right? It's temporary. So to expect change, we expect change. And this is a law of nature. You can change it. So he tells Arjuna, just become wise. You just tolerate. And Maharaj also says, like, when Krishna gives you happiness, do you ever tell yourself, oh, I am so happy, just tolerate, right? No, but when it's unhappiness, we tolerate. So these are just how the mind looks at something, happiness or unhappiness. Like we were speaking about His Holiness Kadamakanana Swami. The way we saw how he navigated this change of his body, right? He was not unhappy, right? And he was, and he took it very well. He was equipoised, right? He tolerated that, yes, I know this body is going to to get disease, is going to get old, and I have to quit it. Yeah, but how in this circumstance do I continue to understand that my relationship with Krishna is that I'm his servant? And how do I continue my service, which is to help my guru in his mission? So he never deviated from this, no? So this is how we tolerate these changes. We have to tolerate so many things, right? We have to tolerate distress. Sometimes we have to tolerate happiness too. But that does not stop us, we may be like students, or we may be family people. So we are maintaining our families or going to school. But whether it is, if the weather is bad, or we don't feel like it, or there's some other special occasion, we make time we tolerate those difficulties, and we continue with our duty to serve our family, or to continue with our education. So similarly, Krishna is telling Arjun that, just tolerate it, because you cannot change nature. So a wise man will just tolerate and get on with his main mission, which is he needs to understand his spiritual side, to understand that he's a soul, and how will you make this human form of life perfect, so you will get full understanding of your relationship with Krishna. Okay, so that was so Krishna says tolerate, and then this goes into the next verse, which is 15, where he says, okay, now I'm out of Aratna, can I ask you to read this, please? Thank you. You have to unmute. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Mataji. Yam hina vyathayanti ete purusham purushar sabha samadukha sukham dhiram so amartat tatvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation.
Yes. So it's very interesting. In the previous verse, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Kaunteya, no? He's reminding him that you are actually the son of Kunti, right? And then he's also calling him Bharata. So after Krishna is telling him that you should not lament for the body, right, which is changing, he's making Arjuna understand, or he's making Arjuna more attached to his bodily relationship by telling him or reminding him about his relationship with his family members, with his mother, with his family. So here Krishna is like really, sometimes the Guru will test you to the max. So Krishna is here reminding Arjuna, if you think that you are this body and Bhishma and Drona are their bodies, and therefore you have a duty, but remember that you are also the son of my aunt, right? You also come from a very nice Kshatriya family. So it's your duty to bring honor to them. You cannot just be a coward and leave the battlefield. Because if you leave the battlefield, nobody's going to say you were compassionate. They're all going to say that, you ran away. You were not courageous like a Kshatriya. So he's using this bodily concept to break Arjuna's argument, that on one side you are saying, because of these relationships in this lifetime, you cannot kill your teacher and you cannot kill your guru. But what about bringing disgrace to your family? That also is not nice for a Kshatriya, because for a Kshatriya, what Krishna said earlier, dishonor is worse than death. So if you don't do your duty and fight, and you leave the battlefield like a coward, you will never outlive the infamy which will come to you. Okay, so Krishna now tells him that if you do this duty, right, and then by understanding why you should do this duty, Krishna is telling him that you are actually the soul, your body is temporary, the soul will live forever, you will not actually kill anyone. And the body is going to be temporary. If you understand this basic knowledge, right, by this knowledge, you will get liberation. For the first time, Krishna is talking about liberation here in the Gita. that if you understand this knowledge and you act on it, then you will actually transcend this material world and you'll become liberated. So he brings it up just for a short time here. And then he continues in the same, he's trying to tell Arjuna that the body is temporary, it will not last, the soul is eternal, and it will never die. So that there is no question of you killing your grandfather or them being killed, because they're eternal souls. So then we'll go to text 16, which is also, these are all quite famous verses and very useful. You see, when people leave their body, sometimes about this. Okay. Number 16. Would you read the Sanskrit and the translation, please? There you are.
Mataji, can I read this?
Sure. Go ahead.
Natato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataham, ubhayarupi dristantas, tuva annas tatta darshibihi. Those who are sure of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both.
Okay, thank you. So you see, so Krishna is now telling Arjuna, he's getting further into this difference between the body and the soul, that the body is non-existent. It seems to exist, but because it's temporary, the existence of the body is temporary, it is not going to endure. In other words, it's not going to last forever, right? Whereas the soul doesn't change. Even in this body, you have changed so many bodies, boyhood to youth to old age, but still you are the same person. You yourself can say, you remember when you were a youth, when you became an adult and you become an old person, you are still the same. So of the eternal, the living, the jiva, there is no change, but the body is going to change. And this you can understand by reading Shastra, right? Like we're reading from Bhagavad Gita. You can also experience it in your own life, right? You can see how different people have gone through so many changes of bodies, but is there still the same person? Your friend or your child, you see they change from a baby, youth, boyhood, or then become youthful and adults. But you are not lamenting that they are changing their bodies, or So in the same way, when you die and you get another body, there's no need to lament. This is wisdom. So you can, by observing nature around you, you can understand that. So why are you, you are saying that if you kill your grandfather, your guru, then you will lose their, like you will, they will die, essentially, they will not exist. But actually, the soul within your teacher and your grandfather, they will continue eternally. So you are not going to be killing them, okay? So Krishna, he's speaking in the next verse, goes a little bit deeper or explains the 16th verse, which is 17. Yeah, Amit, can you read, please?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Avinashi tu taduddiyena sarvamindam tattatam vinasham vyasya yasasya na kaschittu karmaharti. Avinash, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So Krishna is making it very clear here that what you see is alive in the body is the soul, and that soul cannot be destroyed. So you cannot destroy the soul of your grandfather, of your teacher, of all the soldiers on the other side. So one of the reasons Arjuna gave for not fighting is that he did not want to incur sinful reaction, and he did not want to be merciless by killing people who are worthy of honor. But Krishna is telling Arjun, actually, you cannot kill the soul. So how can you be the slayer? You're not actually killing, because the soul cannot be killed. It's indestructible. It never can be destroyed, right? So, and then in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the dimension of the soul. Who remembers what is the size of the soul?
1/10 of part of the hair, tip of the hair.
Yes.
100. Sorry,
Yeah.
100.
Divide into 100, and then that 100 you divide into 100 again. So it is 1/10. That little thing, that little spark, which we cannot even see, that is the soul, and it cannot be destroyed, right? So, and the presence of the soul is what determines whether someone is living or dead. So if that little soul leaves the body, then the body is, we say the person has died, right? And that soul, when it's in the body, then the person, we say that the person is alive. So this little spark of consciousness, which is spiritual in nature, is actually responsible for what we call life, right? And it's spiritual. So just imagine how powerful this very tiny, 1/10,000th the tip of a hair, this living entity is. The difference between this entity and Krishna is the original, the big soul from whom all of us come. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada in this purport also says how we understand the presence of the soul by consciousness. When someone is alive and you hurt them, if I pinch you, you will react. But if there's a dead person, a dead body, if I pinch that dead body, that person cannot react. The body is still there. All the organs, all the senses are still in the dead body, which are present in the living body. But because the soul, that little jiva is not there, the dead body does not react. So, and because without the soul, the body is unconscious now, or dead, we say. So that is the difference. That what gives life to the body is this soul. Okay. Then Krishna continues. He says the soul is indestructible, and then he gives also some more characteristics of the soul, right? Which is 18. Radha Govinda, would you like to speak? Okay, thank you. You can read the verse and translation again.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. Eso muratma chetasa veditavyo yasmin prana panchadhanasi vishesha.
It's no, this is we are going to the next verse, sorry. Text 18.
Okay, Mataji.
We talked about consciousness and how the soul is what gives life. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Okay, here, that's the one you have to read. Right, you can go now.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Antavanta ime deva nityasho shukta saririna anasena pranayasya tasmadyutyasva bharata. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Vichara. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is surely to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Thank you.
Thank you. So here Krishna is saying, the body is perishable, right? Na sato nidyate bhavat, na bhavo vidyate sata. So, but the soul, you cannot measure. Like we said, it is 1/10,000 the part of a hair. We are not able to see it or measure it with our blunt material senses or with the most advanced scientific instruments, right? And the soul is eternal, but the material, just like the soul is, we said, indestructible. Krishna is saying here, on the other hand, contrasting, the material body will surely come to an end. In other words, the material body is destructible. It's always destructible. It's not eternal. And therefore, it will come to an end. So whether it comes to an end in this war, or it comes to an end by some other means, the body will be destroyed. It's not that you will be the cause of killing this or destroying this temporary body. So you should understand that for us, the lesson is the body is going to come to an end, it's going to finish or destroy, or it'll be destroyed, but the soul is indestructible. So Krishna is reinforcing this idea that the soul is indestructible or eternal, and the material body is temporary. And then he will summarize this in the next verse. So we will go to that one, which is 19. Or consolidated rather. So this is 19. Oh, Mihika, can you read the Sanskrit and translation? Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhautau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate.
You can
Translation. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain.
I cannot see you. How old are you?
Mataji, I'm 11.
Great. Do you understand what Krishna is saying? What is the meaning of slain or slayer?
It means like basically when the person is killed.
Yes, perfect. Yes, thank you for reading. That was very nice. So Krishna is telling Arjuna's argument was, I will not fight this battle because I don't want to kill my relatives, right? So Krishna is saying that the living entity, the jiva, you cannot kill. Like we just said, right? The living entity, the spirit soul is indestructible, right? So if the soul is indestructible, how can you kill that soul? It's not possible. I'm certifying it that the soul cannot be killed. So you are not going to be killing this. You are not going to be killing your grandfather, and you won't be killing your guru or your cousins, because, like we said, they are eternal. They're indestructible. So therefore, your argument that you will be responsible for killing or murdering them is actually useless, right? It's your argument does not hold water. So Krishna is destroying this argument of Arjuna, why he should not kill, right? And then finally, we will read text 20. We should get it straight again.
Okay. Oh.
Mataji, I can read.
Sure. Okay, I'm not seeing who you are.
Najayati priyatava kadachid nayam bhutva bhavita vanabuya ajo nityam sasvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sarir.
Okay. You can read the translation too.
For the soul, there is neither birth nor death of any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Thank you, Madhavi Mataji. So Krishna is giving some more characteristics of the soul. The soul does not take birth, neither does it die, right? So, or otherwise, he's eternal. He does not come into being. He's not born, and he will not come into being. Whether in the past, present, or future, the soul is always eternal, ever existing, right? He is unborn. Krishna is making it so clear to us that the soul is eternal by using so many different words, right? Ever existing and primeval. He's very, very old. So when the body is slain, when you kill the body, the soul is not killed. The soul continues eternally. So even though this, like we said, it's a very small part, still you have to, he's telling Arjuna, you have to understand, become educated, right? Become adhira, or become steady. That by the the soul is never ever killed. The soul is eternal, and the body is temporary. And this is the law of nature. You have to understand it, and you have to tolerate the change of bodies. So if you have this basic understanding, which Srila Prabhupada told us, right, that we are not this body, we are spirit souls. This is the and then this is the nature of the soul, and this is the nature of the body. And we have to act or serve on the platform of the soul. No? So we are an eternal soul which has a temporary material body. And it's not that we neglect the body. The body is like the home for the soul. So we have to take care of it to the extent that keeps the body healthy, but not overdoing or underdoing. No, we say yoga is about balance, just enough so that it allows us to do our eternal service of serving Krishna. Right? And that's the main teaching here. And then Srila Prabhupada in this purport also says that there are two kinds of souls, right? And which we kind of alluded to before. There is the minute soul called the Anu Atma, which is us, and the super soul, which is the Vibhu Atma or the Paramatma. And this we also read in the previously, where Krishna said, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. And he also speaks here from the Katha Upanishad, where Krishna says that the super soul of Paramatma and the atomic soul, Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body, within the same heart of the living being. And only one who has become free from all material desires, as well as lamentation, can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. So to summarize this part, so far what Krishna has told us in terms of Gyan, knowledge, is that there is the temporary material body, and then there is a spirit soul, which is eternal. The material nature or material body is perishable, temporary, whereas the spirit soul is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Apart from the soul, there is the super soul in the living entity, and who is a part of Krishna. And all the soul and the super soul both are spiritual, but they are different in quantity. So the soul always maintains his individual identity. We remain always as a part of Krishna, individual beings. We don't like lose our identity and become zero or become one with God, with Paramatma. No, because to have a relationship of service, if we say we have to serve God, to serve there has to be two, right? The person who's serving, the servant and the master. Similarly, if we say that our goal is to love God, for love also there has to be two, right? There's the person, the lover and the beloved. So even the way we say things, it's very intrinsic to us, to our understanding that there's always two individuals, the super soul and the living entity, and they never become one, because then there is no exchange of rasa or relation of love, right? So, and therefore we do not prescribe to this Mayavad philosophy that when we become liberated, it all becomes one. No, we retain our identity, and therefore Krishna is smashing Arjuna's argument that he does not want to kill those who are worthy of honor. So Krishna is proving to him that actually, because the soul is eternal, you cannot kill the soul, and neither can they die, because they are eternal. They just change bodies from one body to another. And you have this experience in your own life. You can see around you, people are constantly changing bodies. And when you see that, you don't lament and you don't grieve. You see that this, so naturally, at that also they go to another body, which we are not able to see, but through this Jnana Chakshu, we can understand that the soul passes to another body. So I'm going to stop here and ask for reflections, questions, additions, chastisements. Radha Govinda, yeah, you can go.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such wonderful session, Mataji. My question was like you mentioned that we should tolerate distress and happiness. So, like, how do we tolerate praises, Mataji? Can you please?
How do we tolerate
Praises.
praises? Oh, how do you tolerate praise? Yes. So, it's like, that's a very good question, because we tolerate happiness and distress, and then we are taught that we have to remain humble. So when people give us praise, how do we tolerate? No. So one thing to understand, or we can acknowledge, is that Krishna says that whatever things you see are beautiful or awesome are but a spark of my splendor. So we can understand that whatever ability we have, it's a little spark of Krishna's ability, right? And we are just the recipient of that. Or we are we have to become the transparent via media. So if someone says, like, you are doing such a beautiful service, one way is to say that, one way to acknowledge, and you can also teach people this by what you say, is that actually this quality I have, or what you see, is wonderful. One thing is that it is the mercy of my spiritual master. You can say my teacher, right? My mentors and teachers have trained me, and they have given me this ability. So I am very grateful that I can exhibit this quality. I have this nature. The other thing we can say that what you see, what I this wonderful thing that you are saying, you're attributing to me, actually is just a very tiny fragment of the awesome nature of God. If you feel that if you can appreciate this in me, can you just imagine how wonderful is God, how much better he is? Then in the person, it plants the idea of there is someone superior. So they may just start to think that, oh, there may be something wonderful. No, so we have acknowledged it. It's because to acknowledge praise, like a lot of times we know how to give, but we don't know how to receive. So we should also know how to receive praise or receive a gift. So the gift giver also feels satisfied. You can even say maybe like validated, no? Or he feels like, okay, my gift has been received. So we can appreciate that. Oh, I really appreciate this, but it's coming from God. You can also say, Krishna says, like I'm just as an instrument in the service of God. No, the ability is coming from God. If you're speaking to a person who doesn't know Krishna, I'm just trying to be a good instrument, or what we say is a via media. I'm trying to be a good instrument who can do the work of God, and that's my only credit, right? And then I have so many mentors for whom I'm grateful, and they are they are the ones who have empowered me with this nice quality. So by saying this, you are giving credit to your teacher or your guru, and you also acknowledge that there is God, and that that we are instruments, and you are also acknowledging the person who is giving praise, and they will feel satisfied that their words of praise or honor have been appreciated. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji. If devotees are praising, then what shall we say? We are an instrument of
of my guru. Whatever my Guru Maharaj Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to say that whatever good you see in me is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And whatever impurities I have or things you see which are improper or incorrect, those are my own fault. Is to say like that. So this is how we can understand, and we can say like this. And see, by saying this, we may not actually feel it. We may think, oh, the false ego thinks, oh, I'm really doing very well. No? But by just starting to make this statement, we will feel we are on the way to developing humility. And after all, it's coming from Krishna. No, we have ability today, one small stroke, like so small you cannot see, and immediately you will either die or you cannot even know who you are, right? Let alone having some knowledge or skill. So we can understand. So the philosophy that we learn, we have to practice in our daily life. Okay, I'll go to the, it's 8:29. So Kanta, you had your hand is up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Mataji, how about if somebody insult unnecessarily or blame unnecessarily, although we are not part of it, we do anything wrong, how can we tolerate this one?
Yes, so there's several things you can do. If the blame or the if they're saying something which is not, you can try to correct it. No, but if they are not willing to listen, right? Because sometimes people, when they make an allegation, they don't know the other side. So if someone is saying something wrong, one thing you can really do to change people's mindset is you ask them, if they say you have done, whatever the allegation may be, you lied to me or whatever, then you can ask them, can you give me what makes you say this? Because I would like to correct their behavior. Because if you ask them to be specific, then they have to actually, in their own mind, they have to process it and see, why did I say what I said? So that may make them change their mind. Sometimes it may be that they're not willing, they're not in that mode where they can hear. Then we have other options. We can think either that this is my, what is Krishna teaching me? What is the lesson here? Particularly if the same complaint comes from different sources, from different times, right? If someone tells you that you are late, and then your friend tells you are late, and then your parent tells you are late, and your employer tells you are late, right? You have a good reason to be late. But if so many people are telling you are late, Krishna is telling you, right? That's a message Krishna is giving you. So what is the lesson here? What do I have to learn? But if someone tells us we are late and we come up with an excuse, or making excuses, how will we ever change? No? So we have to see if the same criticism or same allegation is coming from multiple sources and you feel they are credible, then we have to examine ourselves and see, okay, what is it about me that makes me like why they're saying this to me? And if we are open to that, then there's some learning we can do. Of course, we have to be, this is in general, so of course, sometimes it may be, in some rare cases, that that may be the person's nature, they always find fault. But before we come to that, we should examine our own circumstances and think like, what is it that made that person say that? And is there some truth in it? And come from the point that Krishna is our well-wisher and he doesn't make mistakes. So there's a lesson here. It may be that I have
Is it my previous karma?
It can be your previous karma. It can be. But then we should also be very careful not to always just ascribe it to karma, no? Like for instance, I will tell you, if you see domestic violence, right? There's like domestic violence. So yes, it may be previous karma, but it doesn't mean you tolerate till you are dead. Right? You have to take steps to also protect your body and, the people who may be dependent on you. So maybe your karma was to have this, but it doesn't mean that you'll tolerate to that point that, you are physically beaten to death. The better way to deal with it is that you have to remove yourself from the abuser. Right? Yes, the understanding is
save myself.
Yeah. But at the same time, we should use our intelligence and see, okay, like, what do I learn from here and move away?
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much.
I hope that answered, but
Yes, Mataji.
It's 8:30. Okay, so Ritu, you had your hand up.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for such a wonderful lecturing class. I know that we are not a body, but a soul.
Yes.
How can we avoid getting attached to this body?
Yes.
Practically, it's very hard.
Yes.
We are living in a grahastha ashram, especially asakti from our family. From our kids, husband, mom, dad. It's not practical when you're living, unless I take I just leave everything. Then I know there's no question of asakti. But when I'm living with my family, I get attached. Something happens to my son or daughter, I feel pain. So
Yes.
so I don't know how much practically we can handle this.
So we learned by Krishna says abhyasa yoga yuktina, no, by abhyas, by practice. So in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9, Krishna says, right, how he is the creator of this universe, right? He's the seed-giving father. But at the same time, he says, I'm not attached. This is Krishna. That's so amazing, right? He creates all of us. Everything we have, he is the one who's the cause, right? You may be the cause of the children. Your parents are the cause of you, right? You are the cause of having a family. But we are so attached, but Krishna is not attached. Just like he says, like the sky has air within it. The air is contained in the sky, but the air and the sky are not attached. So Krishna is such an amazing father, such an amazing creator, that he's providing everything for us, but he is not attached. He gives us independence to do as we like. No, he gives us knowledge and he gives us independence. So one way, a very practical way for Agrihasta is to understand that these living entities, my children, particularly your dependents, right? They have been given in my care. I am the caretaker. They are Krishna's children, or even your parents or your spouse. They are all Krishna's children. Krishna says, I'm the seed-giving father, and I am put in their lives to be able to serve them. If we think like this, the attachment will not come, because the attachment is good when it's for protection, but the attachment, if it gets too much, then this is my spouse, like you own him, and therefore he should be it can go to the point where like the Ishvara Bhav comes in, that I am the one who's doing it. But actually, if we think, and which is true, we are actually we are put in a certain situation as a caretaker. So as a caretaker, we don't feel attached, right? Like the bank teller. So many people come and give money, so much money is given, but the teller is not concerned because it's not his money. So these souls have come into our lives. We have a relationship in this body, but in previous lives, who knows? And in the future, what is the relationship? But we should be good stewards of what is given to us. So if we start to think like that, that will help us understand, particularly when your children become teenagers. I don't know if they're teenagers yet or not. And if you live in America, hopefully, I think the devotee children are really in a class by themselves. They don't cause so much grief. But, when teenage comes, because of the nature of the physiological change, they become a little rebellious, right? And they start to exert their own nature or their own ego.
Yeah.
So we really have to learn how to detach.
But then are we really doing justification, trying to, detach ourselves from them?
No.
Especially, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes. So we still do our duty, but so it's not that you don't take care of them. You do your duty, but you don't, the result is up to Krishna. It has to be like this, right? I'm going to do my best. Whether Krishna gives me a good outcome or a bad outcome, that's his duty. That's his job. My job is to do my duty right. Right? That's beyond our pay grade, what result comes. But I will do my duty, and that's responsible. But it's irresponsible. Arjuna was proposing what you are saying. It's impossible. He's saying, I'll go and take sannyas. Why do I have to fight? Why do so many people have to die because of me? But Krishna told him, but even if you go to the forest, you will think, this attachment in the mind will still be there. So, but when you go through life and you have these reverses, the same child who gave you so much happiness, at one point will cause so much grief or so much anxiety. Then you learn this lesson of detachment. So by going through this, actually the natural detachment will come, provided we have this little.
So is it Krishna's blessing, Mataji? So this way we can get detachment?
Yes, it's Krishna's blessing. He never makes a mistake, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we have to see it as Krishna's blessing.
Yes. So I have a question, Mataji.
Can I hold you for a minute? There's like 2 more people ahead of you.
Yeah, just 1 minute. We have family, children, husband, wife. So do we had any connection with them in previous life?
Probably there's something there's some karmic debt, right? That we have to pay back. Yeah, but the idea is that we want to prevent future death. So therefore we just be dutiful. It says somewhere, right, that a person who's your enemy in your next life will become the spouse. So don't make enemies.
Oh, okay.
I can't cite the source, but I've heard.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Okay. So Amit, and then we are for 10 minutes over, Prabhu. Maybe we do it another time. Or
Okay,
you want to continue?
no, I want to just say a quick thank you for you for the wonderful session. And I was also looking for more insight on that last question which Ritu Matsadi has asked, and you give it the wonderful insight on that one. And I'm also just asking the same question, that how we can detach ourselves from that our beloved ones, and you gave a wonderful answer. So thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you very much for that class.
Thank you.
It was very nice.
It made sense. Thank you. And Pradeep.
Yeah, there's one more, Pradeep. Go ahead, Mataji, if you have time.
Okay, I have time. But I just want you to, whether you are going over time.
Pradeep Prabhu, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question. Hare Krishna, Pradeep Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
My question is that when we are indestructible souls, why have we accepted this destructible body?
Yes, because we think it's more fun. It's like when we are in the spiritual world, we are serving Krishna, right? And we are when Krishna is enjoying, we are also we feel also happy. When the master is enjoying, the servant has the same facility. He lives in the same house. It's the same food. But when we think that we are why is it that Krishna is the one who enjoys, right? I want to be the center of attention. And then we are like some children, like they want to be separate. So Krishna says, okay, yes, you can try it. So he sends us to this material world. So the material world is a temporary situation. It's like going to jail, right? If you break the law, you go to jail. It's not that Krishna wants to send you to jail, but that's how we reform ourselves. So, and this example is sometimes given, like, if you you have a son and you like to you have some mechanical tendency, like, so when the car is not working properly, you fix the car, and then your little son comes and says, Daddy, I want to help you, right? I also want to fix a car, but he's actually in your way. So what do? You give him a toy car, and then you give him some toy instruments, and you tell him, you give him a corner of the garage. You say, okay, this is your garage, this is your car, you fix it. So this is what Krishna does. When we think that we are the center of attention, we are God, we are the creator, then we want to be like that, but actually that's not our nature. Then Krishna gives us the toy garage, the toy world where we can think with the false, and he gives us the false ego and the material body, so we can play at being God, right? Just like your son can play at being God. So he gets an, and then he feels that he's enjoying, but ultimately, it's not going anywhere. So in this kind of, sometimes we give this example that because we wanted to have this experience of being like Krishna. So Krishna said, okay, just like you're giving your child like a toy, a fake garage, he gives you this fake universe. You can try and see, and you can experience for yourself and learn whether it's actually better than being with me. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Mataji.
Okay. Ritu, did you put up your hand again? Something was not
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, something still getting stuck in my brain because I'm thinking about the asakti. I think we need more discussion, not today, but obviously maybe at certain point we can discuss about asakti and detachment. Because for us, especially for us who are, with the family, it's really hard because I have seen myself, I have devoted myself to Thakurji, like from the morning 4 a.m. until now, and after your class I have another section to attend. Like I am like totally into this, but At the end of the day, if my son comes and hug me, kiss me, he comes back from home.
Yes.
You forget everything. So at the end, I know what I'm going to suffer when I will die and I'm on my last stage. I might go back and think about my son because he's coming and hugging me.
But I'm going to give you, you're seeing one side, I'm going to give you another side. So when your son hugs you, you should hug him back, because that's the natural relationship, right? But as you learn about him being, he's more than your son, right? He's an eternal soul. When you're saying when he's going to leave you, it's not that his body will be gone, but he still, just we read now, right? He will still exist and you'll still exist. But the way you can be with him together eternally is if you take up spiritual life. Then you'll never, if you give your son Krishna consciousness and you yourself become Krishna conscious, in the spiritual world, you'll always be together. Right? So it's okay when we learn this process. So it's also important to practice, right? So it's very wonderful that you are learning this knowledge, but then we have to make it Vigyan, no? So also have some, it looks like you have some spiritual discipline, you know, you like to study, and there's some sadhana associated with it, you know, like doing japa, and keep reading, particularly Srila Prabhupada's books. There is the story of, the Harsha Shoka with King Chitra, it was Chitraketu, right? Canto 6?
Chitraketu, yeah. Yes.
Canto 6, right?
Yes.
So in the Bhagavatam, there's a story about a king who did not have children. So it's Maharaj Chitraketu. You can read it. Okay. And the purpose will be very useful. And at this age, you should not so much think about detachment in some ways. Because, you know, there's a certain psychophysiological nature at certain ages, because we have to fulfill certain responsibilities. So that will be prominent. But if always your foundation is spiritual, this detachment will also come. We don't have to start artificial. No, Krishna says, if you have a higher taste, the lower taste will go away. Yeah. It's just a matter of changing your paradigm, of seeing with a different light, and it will come. Just because you are asking means you are thinking about it. And Krishna will give you intelligence. It's in your heart.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much, Mataji. You have enlightened us verses of Bhagavad Gita. Very nicely explained, wonderfully, and very informative. Thank you so much for that. And now I will turn over to Mataji to close the call. Har Grace Guru Bhakti Mataji ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai.
Vancha. Thank you so much, Mataji, for a very, very nectarian class you gave. And the question answer session also, we learned so much things, Mataji. So we request in front of you, Mataji, please timely come to Parsarthi classes and give your nectarian sessions. And we really, really need your Vani association, Mataji. So please bless her and please come timely, Mataji, in Parsarthi Foundation Bhagavad Gita classes.
Thank you for that, for giving me the opportunity to be of some service.
No, Mataji.
So thank you.
Yeah, and Mataji, whenever you get a chance, or we can request to Harila Prabhuji also, you can take one day for a question answer sessions, because you give a very, very nicely questions. We have so many things, our day-to-day life. So please give some sessions for a question answer sessions also. So we ask you as a personally questions, and you can solve the things, Mataji.
Especially for Grihastha, Mataji.
Yeah, for a Grihastha session you can give.
Life, yeah.
I'm happy to serve wherever you need me. That's just my Guru Maharaj used to say, he said, I'm like a cow. Wherever you go, take me, I will give milk. So I'll try and follow in his footsteps.
Okay,
although an old cow not giving milk at this point. So anyway.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji, for everything. So Mataji, if you allow, should we close up our call here? Vancha kaltaru vishaka pasindu vevicha patita namah. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mataji ki jai. So much, Mataji. Once again, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.